I fired my client from her own house. And this is a true story, of course. So I'm at this gathering, and a few people know that I knew energy work and that I just had helped a new client that had her house on the market for over 10 months, couldn't sell it. I looked at her and I said, no, I can sell it. We sold it the same day she had a session. So this lady heard me talking and she came up to me and she said, we can't sell our house. We're moving out of state in less than a month and we're worried. And I looked at her and I said, yeah, everything's energy. I can sell your house. Now, I'm not a realtor. And so she's saying how beautiful the land is. They're on property. And how she loved just sitting in her chair, looking out the window and her beautiful property and taking care of it. Now, a few people are listening, but I'm locked into her. And I said, give me a handshake. You're officially fired from maintaining that property and owning it. And you need to move the chair. And one lady started to, I don't know, get in my way. And I'm like, nope, not happening. Went right back to her. I said, it's not your property anymore. You got to know this. Take the keys off your keychain. You're actually squatters and or maybe renters. But talk to your wife. Let's have a session. So a week later, they called up and they said, okay, we want a session. I said, okay, let's sell your house. We had this fantastic session. They're starting to understand how to cut cords, disconnect from the home that they loved so they can get out of this chapter and into the next chapter. And then they went away for like 5 days on vacation. They came back 2 days later, sold the house. And they were just amazed. I'm not. I've been doing energy work for over 35 years. But does it make sense now that what you want and what you're doing might not be in agreement with the outcome? So take a couple deep breaths. The first lady where her house was on the market for 10 months and they were getting exceptionally worried. It was a beautiful home, Northern California. And I looked at her and I scanned her body and I said, no, I can sell your house because that's what they wanted. So I worked on her energy, her children's energy, and her husband's energy. She called me on Wednesday. We had our first session on Friday at noon. The guy came or the family came at 4:30 and did an offer that night. Everything is energy. And once you start to understand how important your energy is and how affected you are and others are about energy, you might want to start studying it a little bit more and figuring out what energy you're running, because that's the outcome that you will always get. A positive person, you're right, is going to get more positive outcomes. A negative person, absolutely, is going to get more negative outcomes. So we have an aura, we have the energy, we have our chakras, and that's energy that's running behind the scene. It's to me like ingredients of who you are. And once we start to look at the ingredients and upgrade them, get rid of stuff that is not working, add stuff that is going to make a new recipe successful, then things change. Can be pretty quick and pretty fast. You don't need to understand a lot about energy. You just, need to call me and get some work done. One gentleman years ago walked into my office and he said, nobody's hiring. I've been looking for a job for 3 months. And I looked at him and I said, in Fremont, California, in the Bay Area, nobody is hiring? Nobody? And he's like, well, people are getting hired. I said, yeah. But with that mindset, in Vegas, I would bet on you all day long that you're not going to get a job. Sit down. Let's get some work done. And he got a job in less than 3 weeks. It's the same thing as I can't find my keys. I can never find my keys. And they may be under a pile of papers. But in your mind, I can't find them. You're not going to look where they are because the energy is going to be right. But then when you actually say, and I teach this stuff, Well, I'm ready to find my keys. Then the mind gets more curious because the mind remembers where it is. It's just you get in between your mind and yourself. So there's times where I can't find something. And a few months ago, I couldn't find my set of keys. And I said, no big deal right now. I want to leave. I'll get my second set. And I know I will find that set when I'm ready to find it. So I relaxed about it. I didn't make it a big deal. That's a lesson. Came home a couple days later, grabbed a purse that I used 3 or 4 days ago, and it was in the second set, or the first one was in my purse. But if we have intensity about things, then our recipe is running on intensity, which is not necessarily positive, successful. A professional basketball player, football player, a doctor, a surgeon, we don't want them to go and have intensity in the operating room or on the football field. We want them to be relaxed and love what they're doing so that they can advance themselves and be curious. And what's the word I want to say? Problem solver. Did you know that you could be an excellent problem solver? Because I am. My daughters are. Because we have a belief system. Who would have thought that I'm a problem solver? So in that moment, my mind goes curious. It goes open. New information can come in. But some people, possibly you or people that you know, say, oh, I can never remember. You're right. I can never figure that out. You're 100% right. But you don't want to be right on that side of the fence. I want to bring you over to this side of the fence. I'll figure it out. It'll make sense. I'll just start it and get my thoughts a-going. So take a couple deep breaths. I'm Diane at Healing Bodies, Healing Souls. I've been doing energy work for well over 35 years. I study it daily. I just love all this stuff. And when you like somebody, it's because there is a energy attachment. If you don't, there's an energy attachment. And the real question I want to leave you with is, do you like yourself? Because no matter where you go, you take yourself with you. And with that said, I want you to like, love, trust, and be there for yourself so your world can change. So please reach out. I would love comments. I would love for you to subscribe and definitely like. It will only take you a second to like, and it is a beautiful, beautiful gift that you can give me. So with that, thank you.